All right, everybody, today is the day, and we have a lot of busy work to do. The Trump FBI and DOJ have been forced to release hundreds of thousands of Epstein files through the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Remember, Donald Trump, Mike Johnson, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, all of these people fought tooth and nail to protect the Epstein class, the class of individuals at the highest echelons of our society. It's the richest of the rich who abuse these power structures to donate to candidates, to lobby for candidates, to abuse the system and make sure they're subverting law and order, all so that the Epstein class can be protected and get away with their decades of crimes. Well, no longer. Today, we're going to have transparency, both for the survivors, mainly for the survivors, but also for the American people. I mean, just think about this. Our taxpayer dollars are currently going to an FBI, a DOJ, and by extension, a president who was actively taking steps to cover up the sexual trafficking of Jeffrey Epstein. This isn't some conspiracy theory. Pam Bondi said the files were on her desk and then said they were gone. Kash Patel ordered people to redact these files before they were released. And the big news that we're just now getting is that they're not even going to release all of the files today, which is incredibly illegal. So the Epstein Files Transparency Act, by definition, says any person who attempts to conceal or scrub the Epstein files will be subject to prosecution under the law. Well, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche went on Fox News this morning and he explained that while they are releasing hundreds of thousands of documents today, they are going to keep some. They are going to save some and slowly drip feed it throughout the next few weeks, which again is by definition illegal. The Epstein Files Transparency Act says, the mechanism says that all the files must be released 30 days after it passes, which was exactly 30 days ago on the 19th of November. Well, at the 30-day mark, you can't just decide that you want to release 60% of the files. You can't just decide that you want to release 40% of the files and act like you are following the law. That is by definition illegal. Let me play you this clip, but Kyle Griffin points out, Deputy Attorney General Blanche just said the Trump DOJ will miss the Epstein files deadline. He says, quote, several 100,000 docs will be released today. So we will be covering that on the Adam Mockler feed. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe while we're covering the news MAGA doesn't want you to see. But he says, and then over the next couple of weeks, Todd Blanche expects several 100,000 more documents, which, okay, I want to see the rest of the documents. I'm not going to say anything bad about that, but all files are required to be released today. By law, all files are required to be released today, and they are continuously pushing back the deadline. Let's watch this clip of Donald Trump's personal lawyer, Todd Blanche, turned Deputy Attorney General. The same exact Deputy Attorney General, Trump's best buddy, gave Ghislaine Maxwell a closed-door interview about 4 months back. About 4 months back now, he was the one who sat down with Ghislaine Maxwell. Then right after their interview, they were transferred. Ghislaine was transferred to a minimum security prison. Let me play this for you, and I want to hear what you all think.
Well, today marks the deadline for the DOJ to make the Epstein files public after the president signed a law requiring those to be released. So in these files, are we going to learn any new information about Epstein and people that may have been associated with him?
So yes, so today is the 30 days where, and I expect that we're going to release several 100,000 documents today, and those documents will come in all different forms, photographs and other materials associated with all of the investigations into Mr. Epstein. And just so everybody appreciates, President Trump has said for years that he wants full transparency, and he wants the Department of Justice to release everything that we can with respect to this investigation and cases. And we saw during the Biden administration radio silence from the very Democrats that are screaming from congressional steps today that we haven't done enough. But guess what? President Trump signed that law 30 days ago, and we have been working tirelessly since that day to make sure that we get every single document that we have within the Department of Justice, review it and get it to the American public. Now, the most important thing that the Attorney General has talked about, that Director Patel has talked about, is that we protect victims. And so what we're doing is we are looking at every single piece of paper that we are going to produce, making sure that every victim, their name, their identity, their story, to the extent it needs to be protected, is completely protected. And so I expect that we're going to release more documents over the next couple of weeks. So today, several 100,000, and then over the next couple weeks, I expect several 100,000 more. There's a lot of eyes looking at these, and we want to make sure that when we do produce the materials we're producing, that we're protecting every single victim. A judge.
These guys can't even speak without spewing utter bullshit out of their mouths 24/7. So he said a lot of lies throughout that I want to debunk very quickly. This part is very important because I do not just want to let his lies go out there into the ether. Halfway through, he begins to explain that Donald Trump, or he tries to claim that Donald Trump has been one of the biggest advocates for the release of the Epstein Files. Motherfucker, Donald Trump has been calling the Epstein Files a hoax. He has been saying it is the Epstein hoax that was started by the Democrats. He has been saying, are we still talking about Epstein? Do we have to talk about this guy? He's joked about Epstein. He's made insane remarks about Ghislaine Maxwell and Virginia Giuffre on Air Force One, saying he wishes Ghislaine well, and that Virginia Giuffre was stolen from his personal club. I mean, I can continue to go on, but Trump is very transparently squirmy around these files. He's so clearly, obviously squirmy. Todd Blanche then asks, why didn't Democrats release these files? Well, for a few reasons. First of all, Biden and Kamala weren't just abusing their DOJ and asking Merrick Garland to release things. That's not how it works. Secondly, the investigation into Ghislaine Maxwell, Prince Andrews, and a few other people was still ongoing. The investigation was still active. And thirdly, a judge under the Biden administration did release part of the files. It was only a few hundred pages of the files after an investigation happened, but these were unsealed. There was no hiding going on. There was no squirminess. It's really important to point out, too, that Pam Bondi very specifically said she had the Epstein files on her desk. That claim places a lot of burden on the person who makes the claim to then present the Epstein files. You can't just effing say you have the files on your desk when you don't. Okay, so all of this brings me on to today. December 19th, the day that I'm recording this video. It is going to be a long day, and hopefully this video doesn't get lost in the ether as the files start to relentlessly and rapidly release. Make sure you drop a like so this video does not get lost, because it's very important that we talk about the broader stakes here. When you listen to the survivors speak about their experience, there's this through line that strikes me every single time, and it's that they have been trying for the past 2 decades to have their story heard. This is not just a Trump administration thing, by the way. This goes beyond the Trump administration. Even Democratic administrations messed this up, but the Trump admin is uniquely bad around the Epstein stuff. Like, he's uniquely freaky with the Epstein stuff, the way that he acts. But for the past 2 decades, these women have tried to have their stories heard. Powerful judges in the state of Florida refused to hear them. I wonder why. Maybe because Epstein knew them. Powerful men in other places refused to hear them. Lobbyists were working against the Epstein survivors to try to make sure they didn't have transparency and their story was not told. So today is a big day in the grand scheme of things. And just remember, do not let MAGA spin this as Trump and MAGA releasing the files. They fought tooth and nail for these files to never be seen. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson legitimately almost lost his speakership. He's still about to lose his speakership because he got absolutely rolled by Dems and a few other Republicans on the Epstein files. So huge credit goes to Ro Khanna, to Thomas Massie, to Rand Paul, to Yasemin Ansari, Democratic Representative Yasemin Ansari, even Lauren Boebert, who I disagree with on everything, of course. Lauren Boebert did a lot of work to make sure that Speaker Mike Johnson was outmaneuvered, and the survivors finally get to have some level of transparency. Even Nancy Mace, I believe, was kind of outspoken about the Epstein stuff. So all of the craziest MAGA sycophants split with Trump, and we are finally going to get some level of transparency. Who knows what these hundreds of thousands of files will say, how much they'll be redacted, but that is what we are here to figure out throughout the day. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.